What's up, YouTubers? I want to make a quick follow-up video on this J&M rocker stereo put in the Street Glide. I got another video describing the installation and the quality of all the components that come along with this, the entire system. And I came across something that I haven't seen anywhere. Just happened to stumble on it. I was looking for the Die for Bike software. Someone locally that could flash this radio for me, because on the J&M video on YouTube they talk about how it clears up the EQ curve on this factory Harley radio and makes the speakers more clear. And I didn't want to take the fairing and all that off and take that head unit out and send it to J&M. I was looking for someone local that could do that, and I couldn't find anybody. I always felt like the rear speakers wasn't quite as loud as the front, so I'd end up fading it to the back a little bit, you know, to even out the sound. So while I was looking for the Die for Bike, somebody locally to do that, I stumbled on a forum where John from J&M had a link to their app tuning request form. I've looked on their website many times and I never saw this form, but those familiar with the J&M radio, most amplifiers, the J&M amp don't have any adjustments on it like some of these other amps. They'll have knobs on the outsides for adjusting the frequencies on the channels and the bass, and you know, basically so you can tune the radio, the speakers, to get the most out of them. Well, J&M amps don't have that. It has a two switches on the outside, and they're for the ohms on your speakers. In case you have 4 ohm speakers, you can swap the amps to 4 ohm or 2 ohm. So that being said, the J&M amp does have a couple plugs that come off of it, and after, you know, I did the request form because I was like, well, I can't find no Die for Bike near me, so I'll send this request form in. And sure enough, the next day John emailed me back the link to their software, and I downloaded it, and it's installed on the computer. And let me tell you, people, this is freaking awesome. This is what a nice stereo should have. They really did it right. The stereo system on my other video, you'll see how much I praised them, because I didn't have to solder or, you know, splice or anything for this whole stereo. And now that I've got this app right here, I haven't seen anything on this. I couldn't find a Google image, no YouTube videos. If you've got a rocker stereo, you've got to have this app. It is freaking awesome. I've only had it for about a week, maybe a little more than a week, and I never used those plugs on the radio. I thought they were for just so you didn't have to take your fairing off, and you would you could swap from 2 ohm to 4 ohm speakers with this plug and plug it into your laptop. That's what I thought it was for, but apparently it's not. So I hardwired this thing in. This plug comes off the amp. It's a USB plug. It's got another clip that clips into the amp. And it's got one more, which is this status light right here for your amp. So you know, I guess, if it's clipping or in protection mode, or you know what's going on with the amp remotely, since it's underneath the fairing and you can't see it. This up here is the original connector that came in the Street Glide with the thumb drive attached with all my music on it. So I bought an extension cable once I realized how awesome this app was. I will not have to take my fairing off anymore to tune anything on this bike. It's all done with a computer and a USB cable. So basically it's real-time tuning too. You plug this thing in, turn your radio on, and you're tuning real-time. Anything you change on here, you hear it on the radio. So this is kind of where I got it set right now. what's really cool, I mean, this thing has tons of adjustments on it. I'll find my cursor, there it is. Tons of adjustment on it. Anything that you would have on, actually more than you would have on these other amps. You've got, these would be switches and knobs. These would be switches for all your pass filters, for your frequencies. You have a knob for these. You'd have switches for these. Some of them do have bass boost. This has all that. Once I got this app and saw how in depth it was, equalizer, front and rear channel, I mean, you can really blow up these speakers if you wanted to. So basically I've got all this set to in the middle on the bass and treble and fader. I come over here to this app, or I turn it up, get it all tuned in to where it's not distorting, but I can have it all the way up. Now it's perfect level, front and rear. It's louder than it ever was. It's amazing. You can save different files in these folders, like you know, that's the default one. That was my first, work on this, and then that's the latest version. And you can open these up in the app, and there's what it was. I mean, you can have as many of these as you want, I'm guessing. But yeah, bass boost, equalizer, front, rear. I mean, you can set it to each whatever frequency you want these channels to respond at. The gains on each, I mean, it is amazing how much of a difference this makes. You can just max out the gains here, or you can control the volume for front and rear. See, I got the rear turned up a little bit, and man, it makes a world of difference. You do all this, then you save it to the amp. The amp will turn off for about 2 seconds, and then it starts back up, and all your settings are saved in your amp. I don't know what this channel delay is. I haven't messed with this yet. I don't know what that is. I haven't actually messed with it, but yeah, J&M did it right. If you have a rocker stereo, you've got to have this app. No more taking the fairing off to tune it. No more. Have a little bit too much bass, and want to adjust it, feel like you could get more out of it, plug it in, you go to tuning, save it to the amp, unplug it, you're done. No fairing bolts. I love it. I don't know why there ain't more on this app, but anybody has it, you got to have this. This is amazing. It does a lot more than I thought it would. Like I said, you could really blow up some speakers with this app. I want to thank Ryan from the whole crew at Law Abiding Bikers for steering me in the direction of this J&M radio. Man, it is top quality. With this app, it's beyond my expectations. It's expensive stereo, but man, it is well worth it. John, J&M, man, awesome products. Awesome quality. I got another video explaining all the details of the installation on this thing, and showing all the quality of all the components that come with it. So I hope this helps somebody that don't even know about this app like I didn't. You gotta have it. It's a must, man. It really wakens up this stereo.